We do welcome you into another edition of the Josh McKinney Sports Show. I want to thank you guys for listening again today. Last week we had a few issues with the me learning the ins and outs of this new Spreaker website, but hopefully we'll have a few less glitches, issues this week. I'm still learning, obviously, but I'm glad you're back. If you listened to the Super Bowl reaction show, Super Bowl 47 reaction last week. Today we have an all basketball edition of the show. We have some NBA discussion. We also have some discussion about college basketball. So we're going to get right into it. We'll start off with one of the hot topics in all of sports right now would definitely be the Los Angeles Lakers in the NBA. So much you could talk about with the Lakers. You know, obviously, a lot of people in the off season when they acquired Steve Nash from the Phoenix Suns, they acquired Dwight Howard in the trade with the Orlando Magic and a few other teams. They got him from the Magic. And obviously, a lot of people expected, you know, the Lakers are going to be the favorites to face off with the Miami Heat in the NBA Finals. And to this point, that is looking very, very slim right now. You know, the Lakers sit right now at 24 and 28, currently 3.5 games behind the Houston Rockets for that 8th spot in the Western Conference. So the chances of the Lakers getting into the playoffs right now are looking very bleak, obviously. But I've got to say, you know, 30 games left. I just can't see this Laker team not making the playoffs. You know, they're obviously going to be one of the lower seeded teams. I don't see them going above 7, but I still think there's a good chance of them making it. I do see a lot of problems with this team. Obviously, you know, the Dwight Howard stuff. He'll obviously be an impending free agent in the off season. And, you know, I know all about Dwight Howard. I've been an Orlando Magic fan for several years. And I didn't want to lose the guy. But now I see that, you know, perhaps we're better off without him. You know, you say, oh, the Magic are 15 and 36, you know, just come off a couple of huge losing streaks of 10 and 12 games in the past few months. But I believe the Magic are obviously in a rebuilding mode. They've got some good young players. Nikola Vucevic and Andrew Nicholson are two to look for in the game on Friday night. It's actually the All-Star weekend. They'll be playing in the game for the rookies and sophomores, Team Chuck against Team Shaq, and one of them on each team. Nicholson was just named yesterday to replace Andre Drummond of the Pistons in that game, and Vucevic has been averaging a double-double this year. He's really stepped up and become a great inside presence for the Magic to really replace what Howard did. I mean, but you know, you go getting back to the Lakers and I had Howard with them. You know, he's just been such a headache. You know, I've got a friend who is a big Lakers fan. I know several people who are, and they're really dealing with that as well. You know, it's just he's a liability to have on the court in late game situations because of his horrendous free throw shooting. And you know, it's obviously a mental thing. You know, there's games where he'll hit everything, but more often than not, he's just very, very unreliable at the free throw line. And you know, the Lakers are going through some. You know, Paul Gasol is out now going to be out for the next month and a half with an injury. They've been through injuries all year. They've been through, is Kobe Bryant going to pass the ball? Is he going to be a facilitator? Is he going to try to shoot the ball a lot? You know, Kobe's just going to be Kobe. Kobe Bryant's the one constant there for the Lakers, and he's the leader of that team. But yesterday it really hit a new low for me with Howard. He has been in discussions. Is he going to leave LA at the end of the year? Is he not? He's used to being a big fish in a small pond in Orlando, and now he's in the bright lights of LA and getting even more scrutinized. And they're right to be, because he whined, he complained last year, got into it with then Magic coach Stan Van Gundy, and wanted out. After everything that city had meant for him. I thought it was a great situation for him, but I'm happy we don't have that headache anymore. We've got some good young players to build around in Orlando, and I'm hoping they can keep some of these guys around. JJ Redick will be a free agent, obviously, at the end of the year, and so that's going to be interesting to see. Redick's the reason I am a Magic fan, being a Duke Blue Devil fan in college. Basketball, I've looked, and that's how I became a Magic fan, with Redick going there, and I became an even bigger fan than I was before. I was a fan back in the Tracy McGrady days and some of that, but hoping they can keep him around. He's not. There's a lot of trade rumors. Chicago Bulls interested in Redick. I heard something about the Boston Celtics interested in him, a few other teams as well, several teams probably, as he's having the best year of his career, averaging over 15 points a game, shooting about 40% from three-point land, really having a great season. But I believe the Magic are a team of the future. In a few years, they could be right there in the thick of things in the Eastern Conference. I do say, again, going back to the Lakers and Howard, like I said yesterday, really against the Miami Heat, they lost. But during the game, Howard actually got into it with Steve Nash, his own point guard, and was blaming Nash for a bad pass. And while it may have been a bad pass, you're going to start yelling at a guy who's one of the greatest passers in the history of the league. That's ridiculous to me. And so to see that, I was very disappointed in Dwight for that. I don't understand. I've never seen him, really getting into it with a teammate exactly like that. And he's not 100%. That's obvious. I believe he said he was about 70-75% in an interview with Stephen A. Smith last week. But you can't get into it with a teammate. This is a team fighting for a playoff spot. I still think they're going to make it. But if they continue to have this in-house bickering, then they're not going to make the playoffs. And that's just the reality of the situation. We've got some more discussion coming up in NBA of college basketball. We're going to take a quick break right now and come back with some All-Star weekend discussion is on tap. We'll have a little more discussion about the NBA. So we'll be right back in just 30 seconds. And we do welcome you back here to the Josh McKinney Sports Show, all basketball edition here today. We want to get in now to All-Star Weekend discussion. NBA All-Star Weekend is coming up this coming weekend. Obviously, I alluded to it earlier with the Friday being the game for the Rising Stars. The Rising Stars Challenge, now the name of that ball game. Team Shaq against Team Chuck. All the good young stars. I talked about the Magic players who will be in it. Then Saturday nights, obviously the NBA Saturday night. It's a Saturday night showcase. They have the skills competition, the 3-point shootout, slam dunk competition. One thing I wish they'd bring back is the game of horse they had a few years ago. That was awesome. There were talks about having a one-on-one competition at some point. That'd be a great ad. They do have the higher shooting stars competition where they take a legend from a city, a women's player, and a current player, and put them all together. And that's a pretty neat thing. But I want to talk a little bit about the a few of the competitions. Obviously, the slam dunk and 3-point are the two oldest competitions still left, and the two that I look forward to the most. The slam dunk competition is going to see Gerald Green, Jeremy Evans, James White, Terrence Ross, Eric Bledsoe, and Kenneth Fareed. There's obviously some good young players there. You got a couple of former slam dunk champs in Gerald Green and Jeremy Evans. Gerald Green's a really great dunker, got some great hops, so that'll be fun to see, as well as Evans. I think some of these other guys are going to be good. James White's a veteran player. The other three are some young guys. Kenneth Fareed's been very talked about as a rookie. Eric Bledsoe of the Clippers is another guy to watch out for. But I say, and I've got to agree, ESPN's Skip Bayless was talking about this, and he was just begging LeBron James to get in that slam dunk contest because, it's always been thought that LeBron was going to be in it. I would have thought he'd been in it several times, maybe winning the championship of that slam dunk contest once or twice at least, in his career. The NBA slam dunk contest is not what it once was, and that's why it's not as heavily viewed and as heavily anticipated as usual. It's, back in the day, you had Michael Jordan, you had Dominique Wilkins, you had Dr. J, Julius Erving. You had a number of just star players would be in that. Vince Carter in the early 2000s took over with Vinsanity, running loose in that competition. A lot of big time players. But as it's went on, it's really went downhill. Even a few years ago, we had Dwight Howard taking over. That was fun to see. Nate Robinson won it as a little guy, and he wasn't the greatest dunker in my opinion, but because of his small stature, that made it interesting to watch. You just look at the field here, and it's like you need a LeBron James in this competition to really get going. But he's getting older in age. Still obviously. He's not even 30 yet. It seems like he's been around forever. But this competition could really use an infusion of a LeBron James type star to take it to the next level. I agree with Skip Bayless totally that he needs to get himself in that competition. It kind of seems like he's been fooling the fans, like maybe I'm going to be in it, maybe I'm not. Can't make up his mind, and I don't see why I'm not. People would so want to see that, and I want to see what the guy's got. I don't think he's scared, as Skip said. I don't know what the deal is. He's just so focused now. I know he's focused on winning championships. And got one last year, and obviously I see the Miami Heat being the favorites this year to repeat as champions for sure. I don't see anybody knocking them off. I thought the Lakers might have a shot this year. I figured it'd be them and the Heat. That's looking less and less obvious, as I said earlier, less and less likely. But I will say, I see the Heat winning it. Thunder, Oklahoma City Thunder, they played last year. I don't see them. They're not as good as they were last year, and the Heat have gotten better, I think. So, I don't see the Thunder being able to knock them off out of the West. The Spurs, they have the best record in the league. But to me, they're an older team. I don't see them getting past the Thunder even again like last year. So I would love. It'd be nice to see a Lakers Heat matchup. Speaking of Dwight Howard, he's played better against the Miami Heat his whole career. Even going back to Magic days, he really played well against them. So that's a fun matchup with LeBron versus Kobe, obviously. Dwayne Wade is really more healthy than he's been in a few seasons right now. And so that just makes the heat even more